So today we're doing a little podcast on governors and prison chaplains. This is a request video by someone in the comments. They asked me to do a video on this subject. So here's what I know about governors and prison chaplains. Now, two very different roles, but equally as pivotal in the prison. Now, the governor is similar to how you would describe a headmaster, really. So they basically oversee the running of the prison. They are in charge. They obviously answer to the Home Office, and I imagine probably an area manager or an area fucking senior, something like that. But they're normally someone who's worked their way up through the ranks. You don't normally find a governor who has come in from outside to be a governor of a prison, for example. So governors, the way you'd work up through the ranks would be as a prison officer, and then you get to be a senior officer, and then a principal officer, and then you'd go up to governor. I think they have deputy governors as well. Very much like the way a school is set up. Not that different at all. Each wing would be assigned a governor. So you would have like a deputy governor for the wing. And then obviously the main governor for each prison. Now, you don't see them much on a day-to-day basis. The only time you'll have anything to do with governors is if you fuck up. Now, back when I started going to prison back in 2000, governors were allowed to dish out extra days. They would dish out, I think it was up to 28 days at a time. So, if you got caught doing anything in prison that was a nickable offence, against the prison rules. So if you were caught with any contraband, if you were, fighting, if you were doing anything wrong, a lot of when I was in there, we didn't have any power in the cells other than light. So you wouldn't be able to listen to the radio. You have to have batteries for your radio. There was certainly no tellies or anything. So people would wire up the light fitting and the night light, especially to the run some wires around your cell, and then put them into the back of your stereo, and charge the battery, play the radio from the lights. Now that's ingenious. Lots of people got electrocuted. Lots of people blew the lights in their cell and all down the landing. I wouldn't have a fucking clue what I was doing. But yeah, there were some people that got months and months and months in extra days from these governors. And then in 2001, the Home Office changed the rules on governors being allowed to give out extra days, because essentially, like I say, they're not legally trained or anything. All they are is just promoted prison staff, and they have no authority. They're not a judge. They can't give people extra time on their sentence. So everybody who'd ever been given any extra days got them all back, and they released tons of people from prison. Loads of people went. People had finished their sentence but were just serving extra days. They really did clear out the prison estate for a little while. Now, other than that, like I say, you don't really see a governor. When I used to watch programs with my missus, you'd watch these, Bad Girls on ITV, and I'd constantly be getting on her tits, saying, "Oh, that would never happen, and this would never happen," and you'd never see that happen, because obviously they're just characters, and they need screen time. And in reality, you maybe see the governor once a month or so, lurking around the wing. You wouldn't ever speak to them. You'd normally be speaking to a member of staff or just having a general look on an association just to make sure that everything was, ticking over. Like I say, other than that, you only ever really see the governors for a disciplinary, or you might see them when you're going for your parole. You might, have one of your meetings with a governor to go for your parole. You see all sorts of people when you go for your parole hearings. I can't 100% remember. It might just be staff. Who knows? But other than that, a governor is someone who I always saw them as a bit of a career driven person. So they're always trying to, if not make a name for themselves, they were trying to get their way up the ladder. So, for example, when I was at Dartmoor, the governor was a lady called Claudia Sturt, I think her name was. And she was definitely an example of like a career person, because she was always trying to get into the media and things, and she was always trying to do an initiative for this or an initiative for that, and I think she basically turned the prison into a sex offenders prison, just because it's if you can be a specialist centre for something or other, then there might be some sort of prison award or some shit that they get, but I don't know what the job would be after that. Maybe going up into the Home Office, or, like I say, maybe area leadership. Who knows? But governors always seem to be quite career driven, and they'd step all over people to get to the next stage. I didn't have much experience with the governors. Like I say, I only really had a handful of nickings, and I'd normally done all of it, and I wouldn't be talking anyway. so I would just get my slap on the wrist and be gone. But so didn't have much dealings with the governors. Prison chaplains, on the other hand, they are they're religious. So your priests and vicars, or whatever you want to call them in prison. Prisons are multi-faith. You really can, take part in whatever religion you practice. They'll have a church, and they have multi-faith rooms and things where you can go and do and study every Saturday and Friday. And Sundays obviously as well, and go and study whichever religion you choose. There wasn't any really religious separation in prison. I don't know what it's like now, but it's when I was there, all the Muslims didn't kick off or do too much. But then again, we're talking about Southwest jails where there wasn't a massive influx of people. There wasn't too many far right groups either. There was no real divides like that, to be honest with you. The prison chaplain will come and see you in your first couple of days when you get into prison. They'll normally come and knock on the door, and they'll ask you, will they be seeing you at church and things. Now, a lot of prisoners go to church because it's a place where all the wings meet up. So again, if you're on A wing, you might not see the people from B wing very often, but that if you go down to church, you might be able to go and see your mate, and go and have a little chat with your mate, or maybe pass something from one wing to another. So a lot of people go to church. Now, I was never religious. I was never that bothered. I was christened I'm Roman Catholic, but I've never taken any interest in religion. It's not been something that I've put too much of my faith in. Maybe if I did, I might have got out of trouble a little bit more. Who knows? But you'd always have the little chaplain come round. I remember one time he was a little bit pushy. Maybe he was short on numbers or something. But he kind of said to me, he was, are you religious? And I was just saying, no, I'm not. Put me down as atheist. And he was like, well, if you died and and he was going to have a funeral, surely it would be a Christian funeral you wanted. And I was just, listen, I don't care what happens after I'm dead. Doesn't bother me. Just tick no religion, please, on the box. And he was like, but what about your family? Would your family die? And would you want? I don't know why I'm giving him an Irish accent. He wasn't Irish. He was just pushing like, if your family died, wouldn't you want them to have a Christian funeral? And I just, honestly, just leave me alone. I'm not religious. I found that just, a little bit pushy. I don't know what they were, possibly he needed more Christians on his, on his books to get some more funding or something. I don't know, but definitely when I was in Portland, there was this lovely little Irish woman who was our prison nun or chaplain or whatever she was called, and she wasn't tall enough to see in through the windows. And I'd love to, if anybody else was in Portland around the early 2000s or maybe even late 99s when she was there, but you'll definitely remember her. She was at about 5 foot and she couldn't even see in through the peephole. So every Friday she'd be coming round, and it was because you get Friday afternoons off in prison, pretty much all the courses and all the education stops. So you go to work in the morning on a Friday, and then you don't have to in the afternoon. So this is your chance to catch up on some sleep, or just chill out watching telly or something. And she'd be there at the window, and be like, Mr. Barney, will you be coming to church tomorrow? And he'd be like, yes, I'll be there, don't worry. And she'd be like, grand, and like walking off. Now I give her an Irish accent because she did have one. But yeah, she'd be running around, the little Irish woman, trying to hustle everyone up on your Friday afternoon, waking you up, while trying to get fill up the numbers for the church. Now, yeah, I'll be really interested to hear from anyone who did Portland back in the day, because that was a crazy place. It was difficult, but it made us what we were. Now, that's all I've really got to say about chaplains and governors. I thought I could, I'd maybe look up online, see if there was any famous ones or one who'd got into any trouble or mischief or anything like that. But I'd be more interested to know what you think. What was because there's two people who listen to this podcast. There's people who have never been in trouble at all, who are interested in obviously hearing from crooks, and then there's the crooks listening because they've been to prison and they want to hear what other people are saying about it. So I want to see in the comments what everyone's experiences are with governors and chaplains, and yeah, let's share our experiences. Thank you very much. Cheers.